Are you allowed to film in, are you? I'd be surprised if you are.
God, this isn't daunting at all.
Being a prison officer is a dangerous job. We've been given exclusive access to training for new recruits.
I've never ever done anything like this before.
The minute I walked through the gate, like, my heart was absolutely pounding.
Where are all these new staff? Are they just not putting them in this jail or what?
Got a little bit about me, so I'm alright.
I originally started out as I wanted to be an accountant.
Some say our jails are in crisis.
There's something a bit dodgy in the razor wire here by the looks.
I haven't had anything concealed inside their bottom.
Spice is a massive epidemic at the moment.
More officers are needed to help turn things around.
I'm not so sure that they know exactly what they're walking into.
But who are they? What are their backgrounds? Why would anyone want to become a prison officer?
I like being put under pressure, so I think with the crisis being there, obviously I want to go and change that. I don't want this to be a crisis.
There's a reason why I'm here, and the reason is because they need staff to replace staff they've lost through various reasons.
A lot of the headlines, if it's not, you know, there's so many drugs coming into the prison service, it's, oh, you know, the prison officers aren't treating them decently. I don't know how else to put it. It's constantly bashing the prison service.
Biggest fears of doing this job, obviously, from what you see in old films, it was getting my head kicked in, really, and maybe even getting to the point where they actually kill me. My first perception of submarines was obviously relating to the song Little Yellow Submarine. Obviously I didn't realise there were these great big black things that are in the water.
The floor. Darren says put your right hand on the floor. Darren says put both hands on your floor.
I was 8 years serving in the Royal Navy as a weapons engineer. Sort of went into that field because I didn't really do very well at school.
What is CNR? CNR is an application of force used with a 3-officer team. So if there's not 3 there, what is it? It's whatever you can justify at the time.
Best bit to the training, I would say so far, is CNR. Absolutely loved it.
Yes, we use get back! You've got to be loud. If you're not loud,
I thought as a female you would be very vulnerable and open to criticism from prisoners and somewhat staff. I thought that female officers wouldn't actually be able to do this quite as much as the male officers would do. But joining now, it's totally different. Male officers, female officers work alongside each other. They support each other in every aspect.
To them, as soon as they get a little bit too close, stop there and I'll talk to you.
I wanted to be an air hostess, a police officer, a fireman, loads of different things, a teacher. Although my mum probably still wants me to be a teacher. Get back!
You're held back on this, just freaking knees, man. Yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm always going to be thinking I've got to be a little bit on edge, a little bit more, you know, protective of myself. But I'm trained to deal with those situations, so it's not a major worry for me. It's just something that I have to keep in my mind.
Bladed weapons, millimetres to sever your major arteries. You bleed out within a minute. So you sever a major artery and get a full spurt without support, you will be bleeding out to the point of death.
Sitting behind a computer desk is boring, I don't like it. So I wanted something where, A, I can potentially make a difference, which I can, and also something that I'm going to be doing that's new and exciting, and it's going to keep me interested constantly.
If Miss where you are right now, gets mice on it, well, chat tomorrow before we start doing anything?
Just got a bit of an injury doing the training. Got a bit of a knock to the knee. It's all right.
Is it bad?
It was at first, but it's all right now. I've walked it off a little bit. I got a nice tan yesterday playing football as well, so it's perfect for the camera. Played for England, captained the England colleges, played for Sunderland, went abroad and played in Iceland, and now play for Middlesbrough. Like I got to a point at football where I didn't want to do it as full-time. I can still play part-time and then obviously have the prison service as a career as well at the same time.
So you can go straight from there, go and take it, and we're back in locks. All right?
Being around, and a lot of my family are men, so being around men and being in that environment, I think I should be all right. I hope.
The next part you'll love. Who's that one? Yeah. Thought so. Fingers. Break them. That way, rather than that way, there's a lot more. Yeah, so.
It's not give the prisoner a good kicking. It's not at all. It's trying to keep the prisoner as safe as possible.
Say Royal Air Force is better than Navy.
As much as I enjoyed the control and restraint training, you know, you really got an adrenaline rush, you got a kick out of it, but at the same time, it hit home how serious the situation can be, the impact it can have on us mentally and physically, and emotionally, because, you know, no one wants it to go to that stage. No one wants to be in that volatile environment where, you know, you're having to fight with a person.
Again, you would maintain final locks, guys. Get the lock on. Because this is still a non-compliant prisoner, and that gives me all this little space to work at, yeah?
I say it is an extreme circumstance when my life is at threat. So I didn't realise we would be allowed to act in any way possible if we're in that situation, but it's comforting to know that we can.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely still want to do the job.
Hasn't put you off?
Not at all.
De-escalating a situation before it even gets to the physical side of it is the most crucial thing.
Run!
Our recruits have been shown how to handle volatile prisoners. But how will they fare in a real situation, at a time when jails across the country have had to send in trained riot officers for backup?
It's quite intense now. There's a lot of new skills we've brought on board from when I trained. There wasn't so much influx of new staff coming in, so it didn't have the same amounts of pressure on.
Since the start of January to the end of June 2017, there has been a net increase of 868 new prison officers. This puts us well on track to recruit 2,500 new officers by December 2018.
On to hit the records of recruiting more staff members, see 2,500 by next year or some of the days, right? Where are they? Like, how we're not getting out the pads more, how we're not, there's loads of jobs in here. This is meant to be a working jail. Half the wingers sitting in the pads, getting this social in the morning, then banged up all day because they're saying there's no staff to run the courses, there's no education on, there's no textiles, there's no jobs on because there's no screws to run the shops. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because we have prisoners and staff who'll want to get in and see what's going on. Since I joined the service, we've gradually had a decline in numbers of staff. The cuts has absolutely severely affected the staff as such. And it's quite volatile. We can't get away from the fact it's been regularly reported. It's quite a volatile atmosphere that we do work. But with the skills that we teach the new staff and with the experience, prison officers do a fantastic job that goes quite unnoticed.
The trainee's basic salary will be around £22,000. They'll do a 37-hour week, working a mixture of day and night shifts.
I think one of the most scariest ones for me would be like cell fires. Obviously a lot of heat, a lot of smoke and flames in a very small confined space, like a cell or their living accommodation, is quite daunting. Obviously something I have to deal with, and I'm more than willing to deal with, but it's something that it's going to be quite scary for the first time.
Today we're doing, it's called RPE training, which is to enable the students to be able to potentially save the life of a prisoner in a smoke-filled cell, put fires out. Me, when I was 23 as a female starting in the prison service, and you come across some big burly prisoners who are quite aggressive, and you'd expect to be frightened by that. And I think once you've started and you get used to the environment, you surprise yourself how unafraid you are by certain situations.
I've got my wits about me a little bit more. I think I'm always seeing what's going on and checking everyone's all right. I tried to save someone's life once when they were drowning in the swimming pool. I mean, I don't really know if it was dangerous. I was 14, 15, I think.
Yeah, make sure it's covering all the way around. Okay? Don't I look like a wally?
Obviously got him onto the side of the pool and just started giving him CPR, and obviously trying to just get him breathing again, trying to get all the water out. He'd been under too long, nobody had seen him, so yeah, he'd passed away there and then. So obviously we walked past the swimming pool every day, like where it had happened. The parents were still there that night, so obviously seeing them, that was kind of hard. And it was just, for years afterwards, it was quite difficult to get over. But I think with a lot of people around me, they knew that I'd tried my best. I'd not tried. I'm always seeing what's going on and checking everyone's all right, which I think will be a lot like the prison. You'll always be kind of seeing what's going on. You need to have your wits about you, so I'll be ready.
Plugs back in, try and do it as evenly as possible so it's not like as messed up as that one was.
The most dangerous situation I ever found myself in was on board one of Her Majesty's submarines, where we had a flood. Because of what happened with the flood, we had to emergency surface, and as we emergency surfaced, we blew the pump, which then set on fire, so we sort of had two emergency situations at once. You always just had to remain calm, and your natural instinct sort of fell into place. It is a very reassuring thing to know about myself, that I can respond in that manner rather than panic straight away.
Do exactly the same with the other person. Once you're good to go, then what would you be grabbing? Was it Durham? They used 16 sets on one fire because they kept feeding it. 250 quid a shot to get recharged.
Yeah, expensive.
So it's an expensive thing, but hey.
If you're aware of a cell being full of spice and before you went in, that could be a good idea to save. There's a lot of staff that go off with spice-related, illness.
To me, I'll be in there pulling them out into clean air, but you're risking the effects of spice. Horrible, horrible stuff, but it's there and they ain't going away by the looks of it.
The Minister will be aware of the major drugs fines and related problems at Home House Prison in my constituency, which has seen experienced officers leave and replaced by 18-year-old recruits. Does the Minister really think that recruiting youngsters is the answer to meet the needs of our increasing prison population, tackle drugs and solve the crisis in the prison service?
What will happen with him now then?
Well, for me, obviously I'm only on an early shift today, so I can't really do much. The problem is we didn't actually physically see it. So with only having one telltale sign, we are pretty much guessing. Obviously one of our main jobs is to preserve life. So make sure he's fine, that's the first protocol. Then we'll go down the route of he'll be issued a Dis 6, which is what we call a nicking, for misconduct. And obviously the misconduct will be under the influence of drugs. And then that will go down to the governor and an adjudication.
What we've
We've known that we've had a problem with spice since January 16. That was when we first had a prison officer under the influence of NPS. So we've been trying to do things to counteract that. But the recent fines that we've had, the 5 kilo fine, we never in our wildest dreams thought that we had a problem to that extent.
This poor officer was collapsed on a seat, completely non-responsive. Everyone else went in and I was on the outside, but the governor said, you need to see this, you need to see what spice is, how it's having an effect on our staff. It was horrible to see. And it was eye-opening as well, because I never ever anticipated that second-hand smoke could do that. That was day one, yes.
Recently, we had a big seizure. I would say in the region of 150,000 to 200,000 pounds worth. 2 Weetabixes either side, and the rest of it was actually spice.
It is a chemical compound of it's like a substitute for marijuana.
So when someone takes it, you have no idea how they're going to react, because the reaction is unique to every person.
As it's a chemical, it can be sprayed onto paper, it can be sprayed onto postage stamps, letters, it can be sprayed onto anything.
People on spice have no idea what they're doing. They have no control over themselves, so they could be doing absolutely anything and putting anybody's life at risk when they have no idea. And I think that's the most worrying thing, that it literally could be from one extreme to the other. Could be the littlest thing to death.
This actually came in, I believe, at the weekend. You see again, they've got quite a weight in them as well, so they'll be quite compact. We don't know whether that's cannabis or spice, and that would we put into a rolled cigarette with the tobacco, and then the effects of the spice would affect the prisoner as well. And as I say, after that, you just don't know what happens to them.
On Thursday on my shift, I opened a cell door and was subjected to the fumes from the drug spice. So I didn't feel well at all. I had to be seen by healthcare, and then I had to be drove home. It was an awful experience, to be fair. Dizzy, like my legs felt like they were going to give way, palpitations. It wasn't nice at all.
I met an officer who'd come in from Durham Prison. She got spiced, and now, because of the after effects, she's on medication for the rest of her life, and she's in her 20s.
I don't think prisons will ever be drug-free.
The amount of different ways that people seem to be getting them in these days is just crazy.
I definitely think that prisons can go drug-free. 100% believe that.
Holme House is supposed to be drug-free in the next 3 years. They have £9 million.
So we're sort of a flagship on this new regime, which is really brilliant to be a part of, that being my home establishment.
The PowerPoints are over. The role plays are too. The flip charts are binned. But now it's down to you.
Ceremony brings us all together and gives us a final chance to say our goodbyes, and we get to celebrate, we get to, be together, feel proud of what we've achieved, and go on to our new adventure as prison officers. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm emotional, but I'm always emotional.
I'm nervous, but nerves are good. I think it's one of those things that you're going to have to be nervous and just got to take everything as it comes. Every day is going to be different, so excited.
A section, please stand. HH617. A section. Stay safe. You are now dismissed.
Hard work starts now. Monday morning, 8:15. All go, go, go.
Funniest thing. I've had a prisoner that's turned around to us and said that I look like his twin. And that was given up at birth. I think that took me off guard, but that was quite funny. And unfortunately, we do look fairly similar.
He could fit a anti-dandruff shampoo bottle up his anal passage. That's probably the funniest thing that's ever been said to me.
Why did he tell you that?
No idea. No idea why he told me that.
Sometimes they might come in with unauthorised goods in their orifices. Orifices? Is that the right word? So they have to sit like right at the back, make sure, I'm going to beep basically because I have keys, but they have to sit right at the back and it beeps when you have, I don't know if you can hear that. So when you have something metal on you, most prisoners that I've come across haven't had anything concealed inside their bottom. You might not want to film that one, but yeah. These cubicles are used for prisoners that are going out on escort. So I mainly stood at the desk because obviously I'm not allowed to be around for a full search. And the officers will perform a full search on a prisoner, and I have to note down the description of their clothing, and then they get dressed again and go out on escort. The emotional stress that you kind of go through, I would say no other workplace has that, apart from perhaps the police. You wouldn't have officers having to breathe in secondhand smoke because all the other places of work have banned that. You don't have any other work environment where, you know, you get swearing and all sorts of abuse sometimes when a prisoner just sees red. You don't get that anywhere else. Cheers, thanks. Have you got anything else you shouldn't have? No. Awesome, see ya, thanks. Once you learn something, I feel like you need a lot of practice in it, and just when I start to grasp something, I moved on to a different area. So I feel like I'm a little bit slower learning.
There's something a bit dodgy in the razor wire here by the looks. Come and have a look at this in the razor wire. What, that sock? That sock? That's a sock, mate. There's something wrapped inside of it.
I've noticed that when I've done the eye check.
You can see where it's torn. There's a bit of a white plastic bag coming out of it. Oh, it needs to be calming down though. The hardest thing to get used to with the job is the different routines and regimes.
You alright? You better be, you only just got off basic.
Because the house blocks have different structures in terms of layout, quantity of prisoners, the different jobs. You don't just stay on your own house block, you do move around a bit. It's getting used to all the different routines, finding out what the core day is, and then learning how to fit that into your own routine and all the other routines as well.
If you keep shouting out the window, you'll be getting a basic warning, so shut up.
Any volatile situations or any situation that could turn volatile is very easy to calm down.
Right, I'll give you your paperwork when I come in then.
Just by verbal communication, listening, communicating effectively.
And I've asked you nicely to keep it quiet. Oh.
Procedures. Even if he is a good lad.
Even though I'm a good lad, there's always a bit of banter, but obviously these guys have got to do their jobs, haven't they? So the prisoners know where to draw the line with that one. I've seen people shove things at staff. I've seen staff getting chased with planks of wood and stuff. That's just not the way to be, is it?
Is there a part of you that wants to sort of test them a little bit when they first start to see what you can get away with?
No, that's not a good route to go down, that like. So as long as you're alright with them, they're alright with you. That's just easy jail, isn't it?
Quite a lot of people, especially that I used to hang around with when I was younger, sort of are in a bit disbelief that I've become a prison officer, because half of them probably expected that I'd be in prison myself. Not that I did anything naughty when I was younger. Even though I've not been in the job that long, it's sort of a natural reaction. As soon as you see another member of staff getting assaulted, it just kicks in straight away, like it's second nature. me and another 2 members of staff sort of restrained him to the point where we had to remove him from that house block down to the segregation unit as safely as possible.
When this film went out, the new recruits had been on the job 7 months.
I think it's a bit too early to say if I'm making a difference or not. If you came back and asked me in 5 years' time, I'll probably have a better answer for you.
Lyle is interested in promotion, but says he needs to learn more about the job. Aaron has been encouraged by senior officers to work in different parts of the jail. He says he's loving being a prison officer.
So my next thing would probably be to experience a house block, because I am sheltered from that a little bit more than the others on the house block. If I'm confident enough and competent enough, then I can move on up or in different areas. We'll see.
Sarah hasn't made it onto a house block just yet. She says she's exploring her options, but is keen to stay in the civil service.
You know, we are effectively a nurse, a fireman, a police officer, a mental health nurse. You know, we're little bits of each all into one. That's what a prison officer is.
I would like the public to think that prison officers are professionals. We're not thugs, we're not bullies, we don't just lock and open doors. We're not the judge or the jury. We're here to help rehabilitate them and care for them.
Rebecca works 55 miles away in West Yorkshire. She's just returned to work after 2 months off with a back injury. Home House still hopes to be drug-free by 2021 and fully staffed by August 2018.
What was that? What did you say?
He says I don't have a clue.
I've put them on the boss chair. I've never used must be boss chair.